Hello, this is News Today, and I am Kimini Nyamani Amala. Coming up, the Pharmaceutical Society of Ghana backs calls for investigations into operations of the Food and Drugs Authority. Inflation hits 11.9%, highest in 3 years. Ahead on the foreign front, Libyan Prime Minister has been released hours after being seized by a militia. Ex-Liberian President Charles Taylor to serve his 50-year war crime sentence in the UK. Details of these stories and plenty more over the next 60 minutes. Do stay. Today is World Mental Day. Now, the theme of World Mental Health Day 2013 is mental health and older adults. Eugene Dodoi, psychiatrist at the Holy Trinity Medical Center, has told Joy News the incidence of mental health in the elderly must be taken seriously. Director of Help Aid Ghana, Ebenezer Jete Sose, also spoke of the need to cater for the mental health of the aged. Here's a playback.
When people get older, after 60 years, many of the medical conditions they suffer, hypertension, diabetes, arthritis, and all that, tend to give them mental illnesses. So generally, as people grow older, they become more and more, mentally ill. And the process of aging itself also predispose many people to mental illnesses. So older people all over the world, tend to suffer a lot of mental illnesses. The most popular one is dementia of the Alzheimer's type. But in Africa, it's being seen that more and more, dementia from other causes, which include hypertension and diabetes, are becoming more prominent. And so our diseases are definitely affecting, how the older people, present into a hospital. And the challenge is that formerly we didn't have effective healthcare system. So we're not growing that old. So we didn't appear to have that problem. But now with improved healthcare, many people are living longer. So if they live longer, then they will live longer to experience old age, medical problems and mental problems. Because if you talk about the cancers, they all happen in the old age. And most people get cancers, get strokes, get, other conditions like hypertension and diabetes, they've been managing for 40 years, 30 years, get a depression. Then comes their memory problem, then there comes the arthritis. Because they've used their joints for all their lifetime, they find the pains walking, and therefore they get a depression from this. We would need a lot of effort to be put into old age psychiatry. As of now, it's very, very minimal. Even for general adult psychiatry, we only have about 12 psychiatrists in the country, And if you only have about 12, and how many of us are going to specialize in old age psychiatry? Because we have children's psychiatry and all that. So it's a very big potential problem which is there. The thing is that we've not done studies in Ghana to see the nature of the extent of the problem. So we think we don't have it. But if you stay in the clinic, you see a lot of them.
In our families, social change is putting a lot of pressure on family caregivers, migration bringing distance, and there's a lot of anxiety on the part of older people, and a lot of them are going through depression, which has actually disadvantaged them in terms of mental health. As already indicated, we don't have that scientific means of analyzing some of these things, and we give it all sorts of names. But it is real in the families. It is quite pronounced. And the dangerous aspect of it is that there is stigmatization attached to it. If somebody accuses you of being a witch, even before you prove or disprove it, what the community will visit on you if you dare to resist. I mean, you wouldn't like it. So immediately the accusation comes in.
You accept?
Immediately the accusation comes in, you have to accept for fear of the consequences of not accepting. The gap in the national aging policy needs to be filled because the national aging policy is also advocating for an institution to take care of aging issues. So if it is filled, that is when there will be a collaborative agencies to promote the implementation of the Mental Health Act. So that must still be filled to recognize the fact that there should be a national intervention in addressing mental health in old age.
School authorities at the Congo Senior High School in the Napdam district of the Upper East region fear there could soon be an outbreak of cholera or typhoid. They explain this is because the school has no place of convenience, even though it is a modern facility. Albert Suri has visited the school and has come through with this report.
The beautiful modern school replaced a dilapidated structure. The facility has no place of convenience, compelling students to attend to nature's call in nearby bushes. Again, the school has no dining hall, and so meals are served on the ground right in front of the school's kitchen, with students eating in the open. A dining hall remains uncompleted for years. In addition to these problems, students are overcrowded in dormitories and classrooms. Samuel Akonga is an economics teacher at the Congo Senior High School.
Commute from Boga to this place every day. So you can imagine the cost I incur at the end of the month. My salary itself will not even be able to defray the cost I incur at the end of the month. So we are also appealing they should try as much as possible and then build the dormitories. The students are always left alone here. And you can imagine if students are left alone, what they can do to each other.
The assistant headmaster Samuel Anafo said school authorities are overwhelmed by the numerous challenges faced by the school. The Napdam District Chief Executive Vivian Anafo said she is aware of the challenges of the school and the assembly is making efforts to lend support.
They don't have any area for easing themselves. You heard our environmental officer also pleading with them to do diligent work when they are pouring out their waste from their body by digging and caving until this other facility is brought in. I'm in touch with Get Fund and I'm very sure that the uncompleted buildings will still pick up their shape.
The second lady, Matilda Emisa Arthur, has donated medical equipment to some health facilities in the Western region. The purpose of the donation is to support quality health service delivery in the beneficiary hospitals.
Where she handed over assorted medical equipment, the Western Regional Minister Ebenezer Kweju-Teyado commended the second lady and hoped the visit will make a turning point in the operation of the hospital. The second lady, Matilda Emisa Arthur, expressed worry at health facilities with poor infrastructure and said she is in consultation with some non-governmental organizations in the United States to provide support. She promised to extend support to all other health facilities across the country. She called for proper maintenance culture.
Ideally, I won't come to hospital twice, but if you have needs and I find something and I'm happy with how you use the things, I might come again. But ideally, because all the 10 regions have to benefit, you might have once, but how you use the things. And also, I'm from Western region, so I might come to Escado, and my friend is Nana Escado, so I might come to Escado, you never know. But it all depends on how you use the things. So may I just ask that please take good care of the things.
The acting medical superintendent of Escado Government Hospital, Dr. Kufia Metepe, received the items and promised it will be put to good use. The second lady also visited the Regional Police Headquarters Clinic and interacted with the Regional Police Commander who proposed the construction of a police hospital for the region.
The Pharmaceutical Society of Ghana has backed calls for investigations into operations of the Food and Drugs Authority due to what it describes as a systematic regulatory failure at the authority. The PSGH says a lack of technical assessment and inputs into regulatory decision-making at the FDA is the cause of the recent allegations of fake drug importation and distribution between the FDA and some pharmaceutical companies. The association has therefore called for a scrutiny of FDA's operations, and this will be the third of such calls from a recognized body this week in the wake of a media row between the FDA and on one hand and Tobinco Pharmaceuticals on the other. Imani, a policy think tank, revealed on Tuesday, October 8, that its survey of importers of pharmaceutical products and key industry players showed that the FDA has failed to live up to its responsibility of ensuring that local pharmaceutical companies abide by quality standards and regulations. You're watching News Today. When we return, we'll have a brief interview on this issue, on this call by the Pharmaceutical Society of Ghana. You're welcome back. This is News Today. And I was telling you earlier about how I would have an interview on this call for investigations by the Pharmaceutical Society of Ghana. They're calling for investigations into the FDA issue. They have described the operations of the FDA as a systematic regulatory failure, and they've also accused it of having a lack of technical assessment and inputs into regulatory decision making. And they say it is the cause of the recent allegations of fake drug importation and distribution. Ernest Owusu Abuaje is member governing board of the Pharmaceutical Society of Ghana. Good afternoon, Ernest.
Good afternoon, Kimena.
How are you doing?
Doing wonderful, I'm fine.
You have described what has happened within the FDA as systematic regulatory. I read all of that seconds back. What's informing that?
The FDA's alerts in recent times. They had a few months ago about some importers, and the recent one with Tobinco. The approach appears to be at the end of the drugs hitting the market. People maybe have used some. Maybe some people may even have died. Terrible things may have happened to people. We are now hearing from the regulator. It appears that the function is skewed more towards post-market surveillance. But with very due respect, medicines are not toffees. Medicines are poisons in small quantities. And that is why the taxpayers' money is used to set up and run the FDA such that they have to be preventing, not waiting till the thing is on the market, is being used, then you raise these alarms. That's one of our biggest challenges, problem. That's why we are saying that by coming to tell us that, look, XYZ on the market from this company is unregistered, is fake, is whatever. Why now? How did it come in? Because they must show us the processes they have to prevent it from coming in. The essence of regulation is to prevent it from coming in, not to let it be on the market. And whilst it is being used to flag these concerns, and let's get this right, the Pharmaceutical Society of Ghana is not, let me repeat this clearly, it's not taking on the FDA or, as it were, supporting Tobinco. We are just saying that in the best interest of the patients of Ghana and the population of Ghana, importers, regulators, all players would have to do it and do it at their very best. Nothing short of it. So it should not be misrepresented as if we are taking the FDA on. We are inviting government to examine the operations of FDA to ensure that the approach to regulation, you see, the act.
What kind of steps do your members go through before they bring in, they are able to import some medicines? Because we've had the FDA tell us, okay, you'd have to register, would have to see the drug, would have to test it. And I'm surprised that you're saying the focus has been on post-surveillance. What methods do you, what sort of checks do you go through before you bring in your...
No, Kimeni, I think the question I should ask is, what is in the news? What we are being told is that there are problems with these drugs. It's on the market. It's not registered. So we are asking, how did it get on the market? That is a question we even expect the media to be asking the FDA. Now, how did it come in? Like you said, the methods, the steps, all are determined and laid down by the FDA. So how did it come in? That is one. Secondly, post-market surveillance is a critical aspect of it. Let's give due deference to that. Assuming that you have even done post-market surveillance and you found a problem with it, you are a regulator. The Bank of Ghana regulates financial institutions. Media Commission regulates media houses. The FDA regulates the pharmaceutical industry. How many of these regulators are out there on the media putting out mistakes or problems, even where there are any? Because the laws and the health system, the medicine supply chain has systems for dealing with this without putting out companies. Because when you go to that extent, it smacks of, for want of a better phrase, running down an entire business. And it takes a lot of effort to build a multimedia group like that. If tomorrow a regulator goes out to put out, and if you look at the back and forth between Tobinco and FDA, we are saying that government should use this as an example to really interrogate the system. We are not taking sides, as it were. We are saying that government should use it to interrogate the system. That do we have the best regime for medicines control in the country? Is it the best that we can have? And I've heard them on one platform saying that, well, they are doing their best, they don't have, but if you know you're doing your best, you don't have, as it were, a perfect system. How about company X, company Y? How did the medicines come in? Because if it comes in, then it presupposes that there's a breach in the process or the barrier that has to be, because we need to check whether it's fake, substandard, whatever. We need to check it from coming in. Now, if we regulate when it is in, it means that we are regulating ex post facto, and that is risky. Secondly, when we put out such alerts out there in the open, we undermine the very health system. So if I go to hospital tomorrow, how secure am I? And we're giving everybody, it's not just about Tobinco, everybody manufacturing in Ghana, everybody importing into Ghana, how safe are we? Because we don't know the next alert we are going to get from FDA. We are saying that even when we have detected something wrong, there are measures and mechanisms within the system that FDA could approach or could adopt to deal with any miscreant. Or we don't endorse anybody bringing in fake or false medicines.
What is the relationship between the FDA and the Pharmaceutical Society? How do you two work together?
Ideally, we are both stakeholders in the interest of the public. We are a civil society organization, a body of 3,000 plus professional pharmacists in various sectors of the country, some even abroad. Professional pharmacists. We are a civil society organization. FDA is a regulator, mandated by law under the Public Health Act to regulate medicine supply, medicine importation, medicine distribution in Ghana. That is it. Ideally, there's supposed to be collaboration.
Is there that collaboration?
To some extent, I would say not much. Because if you look at our statement, as early as February, when this issue came up first with another company, with some importers, we wrote inviting the FDA, wanted to engage them, wanted to sit to discuss what really are the issues. What information do they have that we don't have? Because if we collaborating, it's possible to write through the PSGH, or more importantly, right through the ministry, Ghana Health Service, teaching hospitals. You can recall, you can stop, you can withdraw anything without, for want of a better phrase, running down a whole business. Because that is most unfortunate. Because the impact goes beyond Tobinco to all importers, to the entire health system, and to other pharmaceutical manufacturers in Ghana. And we think that approach is not on. It's not the best. The FDA could do better. We are not saying they are not doing well, but they can do better. They can use a better approach to fix this.
How binding is the Pharmaceutical Society? I mean, you've stipulated things you would rather government does within the authority to make sure that, you know, they don't over focus on post-market surveillance, but before the product gets to the market.
A lot of emphasis should be placed there as well.
Exactly. How binding are you on your members, such that if a member is found guilty or a member is you know, not doing the right things, how binding are you in terms of dealing with that particular member?
We are a professional body that has a disciplinary committee in the house, and then our profession is also regulated by the Pharmacy Council. So the PSGH itself could deal with members who are found culpable, and we do. And we abhor false counterfeit substandard. We deal with it. Now, we also have the ability to report to the Pharmacy Council to even, suspend your license as a pharmacist if you are found culpable in any of these things. But here again, we would want to say, we do that with that caution to protect the public, to protect the patient, to protect the industry. If we run this alarmist approach, it could smack of all sorts of suspicions. So we are saying that government should interrogate the system.
Right.
Is what the FDA doing now? Is it the best we can have for the Ghanaian public? Is it the best we can have for the Ghanaian health system? We are calling for that kind of investigation. And
would find out if government will listen to you subsequently. Thank you very much, Ernest.
You're always welcome.
Ernest, Owusu Abuaje is member governing body Pharmaceutical Society of Ghana. Let's go to the Children's Park. And earlier this morning, Truth and Accountability Forum embarked on a demonstration against the upward tariff adjustment by the Public Utilities Regulatory Commission. The PURC announced, some tariff increases, and they have been against this since day one. Eric Curtis Howard is joining us live from the Children's Park. Hello, Eric. Hello, Eric. How different is this afternoon from the morning?
Yes. With this morning, officials told us that about 500 partake in this demonstration. After the whole incident, after going through the routes and the various routes, two recommendations came out. It came out that one, officials 500.
Right, Curtis, this is what we're gonna do. The audio feed is terrible, and so would pick you again when we have a better feed. Curtis joined us from the Children's Park here in Accra, but unfortunately the feed is terrible, and would get back to him definitely. Let's move on to some other stories. And the large number of workers on government payroll has been described as one of the biggest challenges confronting the Ghanaian economy. According to the Vice President of Policy Think Tank, Imani Ghana, Kofi Bento, the situation is especially serious because they are amongst the least productive of the country's workforce. He was contributing to a discussion on Joy FM's Super Morning Show.
Kofi Bento was very uncharitable in his comments about the public sector workforce and charged government to do something about it.
We don't need that many people, and they are expensive. There is something that you have to get for what you pay. Single spine itself should not be a loss if our public service is delivering services. We really will be making money off them. So we do need the public service. The total productivity of the civil service, it's about 10 to 30% of what it must be. We have a civil and public service made up of about 500,000 people out of 25 million. This 500,000 people, with all due respect to them, are amongst the least productive group of people in this country, and they take 70% of all our revenue.
He added government itself needed to be trimmed.
You have an expensive parliament of 275 people who are supposed to make law. You don't need more than 50 people to make law. That's my position in this country. And they have to draw so much. We don't have more resources than Parliament has. So if they say they don't have resources, my question is, how come we can do some things that you
and
can
they
do?
can't seem to see it.
And we get back and we go and see how many flaws there are in this thing. The failure of the check system, we are wasting money.
Chief Policy Analyst at the Ghana Institute for Public Policy Options, Dr. Charles Reku-Bobe, who was also on the program, was also unconvinced about the effectiveness of Parliament as a check on the executive.
Paying bloated civil service, they are actually being asked to do nothing. Government has been very clever in making sure that they get paid at the end of every month so they don't have to complain. The size of governance must be trimmed, and trimmed dramatically. He's not just talking about the ministries. Now, every time you create a district, all those districts are not paying their way. So I think instead of blaming single spine, we should look at People ought to be paid well. If you want to reduce corruption in governance, you must pay those who are looking after our money well. So in that respect, I support single spine. But how many people do you need to pay?
The panelists also had issues with the rising debt stock, describing it as unsustainable, especially because most of the funds are being used to repay maturing loans.
Let's join Eric Curtis Howard again, who is with the Truth and Accountability Forum, members of the Truth and Accountability Forum who are embarking on a demonstration. They have gathered at the Ifo Sutherland Children's Park here in Accra. He's joining us live from there with some update. Hello, Eric.
Hello, Kemini.
What's happening now?
Okay, right now, officials of the Truth and Accountability Forum, one of their conveners, Sakasalia, is addressing the media. He's trying to tell them one of the issues that he raised is that instead of government increasing tariffs and prices, the best they could have done was to sort of reduce the leakages in the system, because according to him, it is the leakages that has caused the debt or the debt of water and electricity to rise. So he wants government to rather focus on curbing the leakages in the system instead of increasing the prices. One thing too we realized this morning from the demonstration was that officials told us that we were 500 in number, but apparently at the end of the day we came to realize that they were not 500 in number. Even if you can see from the press conference they're having now, officials are less than about 15 people who embarked on a demonstration. I think joining the team of security personnel that came to provide security, as well as the media and everything, were even more than the demonstrators. But when you speak to them, what they tell us that the numbers doesn't matter. What matters is that they've gone around the streets of Accra to inform people, to tell people that yes, tariff increments were high, the cost of living in Ghana is high, so government should do something about them. And one issue they also raised was the fact that this is the first demonstration, so this is on a smaller note. There is a bigger one upcoming. As to when that one is coming, they couldn't confirm to us, but they said there's a bigger demonstration, and that one we should expect to see a massive crowd of people partaking in it. So this morning, they went through the San Principal streets of the capital to just with brass band music, amidst singing and dancing, just to make their concerns across to Ghanaians who have the listening ears to hear them.
If you read their statement issued yesterday, they were clear that on the 16th of October, they would hold a similar in Kumasi. You think they're backing down on that idea now?
For now, I can't really compare. Speaking to officials, one thing they actually told me was that they will use this demonstration as a litmus, as a test case to see whether future demonstrations, as in the one in Kumasi or others one, will come on, or how to go about it. Apparently, from their countenances or trying to speak to officials, you could see that they were a bit disappointed about the turnout today, because they had brought buses. When you at the brass spot, they had brought buses, they had brought people, and we're expecting that they could mass up crowd of people. And one thing they also felt that once they're moving around the principal streets of Accra and we're talking about tariff increment, people from all walks of life, Ghanaians who join them, because Ghanaians believe in that indeed tariff had increased and it was really affecting them. But apparently they didn't get the kind of support that they wanted. So they're kind of tight-lipped as to whether the Kumasi demonstration will really come on or whether they will go about it. But what they really confirmed out was that there's a bigger demonstration coming on, and as to when and how they are going to plan out that demonstration, they have not told us yet. Kemini.
Executives, those who joined them, what's been the reaction?
For now, it's been the usual. From the time we started at the Obra Sport, through to the Parisco Avenue, through to the ministries, and now at the Ifo Sutherland Children's Park. It's been the same issues that they've been raising, the same things that they have been saying. Hey, the tariff increment is affecting us. Government reduce it and everything. And they say they won't give government an ultimatum. They are just these demonstrations to let government be aware of the sufferings and hardship of Ghanaians. So now, with the question you put to them is, after the demonstration, what next? They say they'll sit back, watch government. The government doesn't do anything about it. There's a bigger demonstration. So we are yet to see how they'll go about it.
Curtis, let's just take a listen to Saka Salia, who is a spokesperson for TAF. Let's take a listen to him from the live feed.
And come out with a reasonable tariff. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Saka Salia, spokesperson for TAF. Let me invite our man from Charles Owusu from PPP. He has a word for us. He also joined the demonstrators. He's also here. Thank you. Let's give him a round of applause.
Million. Yawoha anopay. Say you be su Ghana for a soon. And yet TAF for any soon, yes soon. Majority say positive for I try and watch here. Bamba for you know your two so effective one. Your two electricity man almost so much can be. And so now Mufi and you himself won't tria. Now so type you or Kwan Wadi. Electricity no himself ya won you subi, now so ba foka. Your two and so electricity man. I dear be a your mind mubiano, a kutia. Now Majority say PRC as entity in the as a chum. Because I know to Mokasa, Omo fight Emma Greco and VRA. But a Nipana, a yenti, Sabi Yadu almost to us, Ombe. Now, yes, soon your hound, a super performer, that be on your home. And the country almost said, send that water their country director to me, I call it the bluff of the president. I can't say what to or just our band Baba Gini Sika. Yansu Ghana for your country, Greek on the VRA for say, Yentria Wachina. We will not pay.
Oh, they are strong on words. They have asked governments to dissolve the PURC for their inability to work. Let's move on to some other stories. And inflation in September rose to 11.9%, the highest in 3 years. The Ghana Statistical Service attributes this to last month's increase in fuel prices. The price of some cereals and other products in the food group was also to blame.
The Consumer Price Index, which measures the change over time in the general prices of goods and services consumed by households, indicated that prices between August and September had declined marginally by negative 0.7%. In spite of this, prices from September last year to the same period this year went up by 0.4 percentage points, pegging inflation rate for the month of September at 11.9% from 11.5% in August. Following recent adjustments in the prices of petroleum products, transport emerged a key driver of the current inflation rate, which recorded a rate of 27.7%, above the non-food group average year-on-year inflation rate of 14.2%. Miscellaneous goods and services under the non-food group recorded 16.3% inflation, followed by clothing and footwear, which also stood at 15.9%. Food and non-alcoholic beverages group also recorded an average year-on-year inflation rate of 8.9%, with cereals and products recording 12.2% inflation, above the average food inflation. September comes across as a harvest season, but the figures reflect a change, hence the need for policies to target the components of the consumer inflation.
We have time and again disaggregated the components of inflation in Ghana. We've given the weights of the various items or commodity groups that consumers purchase. We know that some are more sensitive to price changes than others. So policies that government will adopt that will impact highly on the groups that have a bigger weight in the basket of goods that consumers consume would automatically affect the inflation.
The Statistical Service is also recommending fiscal discipline due to its implication on inflation.
Actually, when we spend more, or we put a lot of pressure on the city, and when the city depreciates, it affects imported items. I mean, imported goods become more expensive. And because the basket is not only made up of local items, imported items like rice, like the sugars that we import substantially, if their prices go up and people are also consuming these items, it means that it's going to impact inflation. So a lot will depend on how consumers react to some of these policy changes or adjustments that we are seeing.
The service has meanwhile hinted that it will release unemployment figures for 6 months this year, specifically from March to August, as will be provided by the Ghana Living Standards Survey.
Samuel Ampa is head of research at Gold Coast Securities. He joins us over the telephone, help us make meaning of this 11.9% inflation. Hello, Sammy.
Yes, hello. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you too. But what reading do we make into this inflation figure?
Currently, it tells us that prices of goods and services are relatively going high. You know, a lot more of us were expecting a much higher inflation figure. For not too much higher inflation figure for last month. Our expectations are that inflation figures will go up in next month because speculation has seen the hikes in the utility prices, and the actual hikes in the utility prices will be measured this month, and then, you know, consequently it will be followed through with the following month. So basically, this is the situation that we find ourselves.
Transportation recorded 27.7%, which is very high, and we know how the increase in, you know, realistically we have also an increase in the price of transportation in the fare, lorry fares right now, and projecting into next month, are we likely to see an even more increase?
Well, you know, its effect on transportation and its effect on goods and services is what really matters most. You know, if transportation inflation has gone up, then it tells you that certainly will have its rippling effect on, for example, foodstuffs. You know, foodstuffs will definitely go high. And foodstuffs goes high, and it definitely will affect each and everyone's DI, disposable income. So basically, the basic understanding of inflation is what is happening currently. I mean, where a sustained increase in the general level of price for goods and services, and this is measured by the value of what we are selling against even the currency. Now, if inflation goes up, definitely it affects the value of your currency as well, in terms of the purchasing power. So if transportation rates are going up, its effect will be transferred to the foodstuffs that we consume, and definitely will also affect everybody's disposable income or its purchasing power. And that is where the danger then is.
So we could safely say, or we could expect an even higher inflation for this month?
Certainly, yes. I mean, if you look at what happened last month, perhaps in this month, is the utility hike. The 78% and 52% are quite high. And you should know that there's something we call the cost push inflation, where industries would definitely push the cost of the high utility prices onto consumers. So when it happens like that, definitely it will trigger inflation figures in the country. It's not too pleasant a situation where we've had quite stable macroeconomic environment, and this time we are moving into a quite high volatile rate of macroeconomic environment. It disturbs the basic fundamentals of our growth pattern, and then that is not good. We were not actually expecting inflation to go high, but however, we expect that things will come down, and then maybe we'll end the year in there. We'll never end the year in a single-digit inflation. Definitely will be in the double-digit inflation.
In its recommendations, the Statistical Service said we must exercise more fiscal discipline because of its implication on inflation. Is that something we could look at as solving our problems right now?
It is one solution to the problem, and I guess if the Statistical Service were directing their recommendations to government. Government, actually, the Ministry of Finance has the purse. I mean, they control that. So definitely what they are trying to tell government basically is that, look, the situation is not too pleasant. We need to be able to control. We should strengthen our fiscal discipline and then be able to control expenditure. If you're able to control expenditure, its bearing on inflation will not be too much. But if government continues to spend high, definitely it will send inflation going to the north. I mean, it's not really a situation we can help. You know, we just have to be able to sustain it for now and hope that the government effort in cutting down its fiscal deficit is achievable. I mean, it's achieved. Otherwise, it might not be good for the end year results.
Many thanks, Samuel, for your time. Samuel Ampa is head of research at Gold Coast Securities. Let's move on to some other business stories. And President Barack Obama has officially nominated Federal Reserve Vice Chair Janet Yellen to be the next head of the U.S. Central Bank. He called her one of the nation's foremost economists and policy makers. Yellen said if confirmed by the Senate, she would do her utmost to promote maximum employment, stable prices, and a stable financial system. She said more needed to be done to strengthen the U.S. economy, although progress had been made recently. That's it for business. We'll bring you some sports after this. Thanks for staying on. In sports, Ghana President John Mahama made a surprise visit to Ghana's World Cup squad while they were on training on Wednesday, telling the players that they have the country's support. The Black Stars, who are chasing their third consecutive appearance at the finals, must beat Egypt over 2 legs to reach Brazil. The president turned up as Kwesi Appiah's players were done practicing at the Accra Stadium. Our cameras were there.
We've come a very long way to this point. All the matches we've played have finally come down to one match. And that match is the last hurdle we have to cross to be in Brazil. So this match is more important than all the other matches we've played. We have to put this in the bag in order that all the other labors that we have engaged in become fruitful. So let's focus on this match, Egypt, and let's defeat them. I was told that this is your last training session in Accra before you leave this afternoon for Kumasi. And so I took time off, I left office to come and see you as the chief supporter of your team, as the leader of this country, to tell you that the whole country is solidly behind you. Whatever we should do to support you to win this match, we shall do. And that is why I'm sure you've been informed already. Your bonuses have been topped up. Everything is under control. And so we'll do our bit. But all of us can't go on the field. It's you who are the most talented in our country. And so you are going to represent us on the field. And we expect nothing short but victory. I want to commend your technical team and your coach, you know, for the way in which they've handled the team. I hear morale is high, like the minister said. I keep calling to ask how the team is and all that, and he tells me morale is very high in the camp. That is what we want. We don't want there to be any impediment in your way. And so we'll do our part, but at the end, it will come down to you those on the pitch. And so we hope we can count on you. And so let me thank you very much. I wish you good luck. And even though I'll not be in Kumasi to watch the match, you can be sure that I'll be behind my TV watching what's happening. And so give us the best gift, Christmas gift of this year, and that is the qualifier to Brazil. And so we count on you. We'll be praying for you. We know God is on our side. We'll pray to the Almighty God to give you victory, and I'm sure that He will answer our prayers. Thank you very much.
I would like to thank Mr. President for his visit this morning. Today is a special day for the Black Stars. And after the training, when we heard you were coming, it boosted our confidence. I think training has been successful. We started our training yesterday. And today, after this morning, we'll be having our flight to Kumasi to continue our training section. So as every Ghanaian knows, the unity in camp is very good. Everything is all right, and we're waiting for Tuesday, the upcoming Tuesday. This is what all Ghanaians are expecting, and we are sure with the quality of the players that we have in camp, we will make sure we make everybody proud so that we can qualify to the World Cup. Thank you very much.
Let's stay on the Black Stars, and they will have an increase in their bonuses if they are able to beat the Pharaohs of Egypt on Tuesday. The motivation is coming from one of the main sponsors of the team, the Ghana National Petroleum Corporation, and the corporation is increasing the bonuses from 12,000 to 15,000. Alex Mode is with GMPC.
PC is totally behind the Black Stars team. We have been behind the Black Stars team because of one thing. The Black Stars unites everybody in Ghana, and it is basically the passion of the nation. And we are fueling the nation thanks to all the discoveries that we've been making, thanks to the Lord. And we will be behind you. Like I said, some of us have already booked our passages to Brazil, and we do hope that this is going to be a massive victory. And like Your Excellency said, we expect nothing short, and you also expect nothing short. We on our part will do everything. I have heard your request, Captain, about the increase in the bonus. We've already done a 50% increase in your bonuses. And you win this one, and we will surprise you beyond your expectations after the Thank you.
Let's take a listen to some reactions from a section of the public on this increase.
1,000. Wow, for just one match. Yeah. That's too expensive. You ask yourself how many Ghanaians can earn 15,000 within a year. So for me, even though they are playing, it's a professional business, but then 15,000 is, to me, it's too much.
For me, it's a good booster for the boys to go all out and do the do. I mean, that's what we would expect from them.
It's difficult. I mean, the players should be reasonable to also know, for example, that we are going through hard times. Things are difficult. Fuel prices have gone up. Water, electricity, they've all gone up. And I think that they play professional football. This country has given them so much. Most of them wouldn't have been where they are without a national team. And I think when they say you have to be patriotic, these are some of the things, And I think that they should do that. 10,000 plus, whatever they want to give them, it's too much. And
that will be it for sports. In news from elsewhere, UK Justice Minister Jeremy Wright has confirmed the ex-Liberian President Charles Taylor is to serve his 50-year war crime sentence in the United Kingdom. Sweden and Rwanda had also offered to imprison him following the rejection of his appeal last month by UN-backed special court in The Hague. It ruled that his convictions had been proved beyond doubt. He was sentenced in May 2012 for aiding rebels who committed atrocities in Sierra Leone during its civil war. The Special Court for Sierra Leone found Taylor 65 guilty of 11 crimes, including terrorism, rape, murder, and the use of child soldiers by rebel groups in neighboring Sierra Leone during the 1991 to 2002 conflict, in which some 50,000 people died. In Libya, Prime Minister Ali Zidane has been released hours after being seized by militiamen. The government has confirmed. A former rebel group loosely allied to the government, the Libya Revolutionary Operations Room, had detained Zidane, claiming to act on orders from the Prosecutor General. Justice Ministry denied this. The militia was one of the several groups angered by a U.S. commando raid on Libyan soil on Saturday, which seized senior Al-Qaeda suspects Anas al-Libi. Many saw the raid Many saw U.S. raid as a breach of Libyan sovereignty, and there is growing pressure on the government to explain if it was involved. However, the exact motives for his detention remain unclear. In a statement, though, the Revolutionaries Operations Room said its actions had not been related to Libby's detention. That's it from international news, and let's now look at some showbiz news. Kwabena Otredako, known by his stage name as Obrafo or Rapsofo, may have been rated as one of the finest rappers Ghana has ever had, but Kwame, a native of Abri, believes he can be a match for Obrafo. When he chanced on Obrafo in Abri, he saw his opportunity to prove his rap skills.
That's right. I'm going to be a Kali. I'm going to be a Kali. Me one crank. I did it down. Yeah. Because Guadapo. One Tom. Yes. And a lot of things. If you can say to feel like a better mountain for the wicked who bend the bulldozer after the arrow to shoot the upright again. If the forest in the soil, what can the radio do to them? I can't train a by you. I'm sorry. I'm saying I'm for. I'm a Santa Frato. I'm saying Woodiful. I'm saying inside are the dogs, dog party spiritism, the fornicator and the murderers, the idolaters and dog crank. I will be a Kylie. I can't be come on here. No one crank.
You be the judge of that. But UK-based Ghanaian musician Stephanie Benson has been telling Showbiz that she is putting up a music school to help boost the Ghanaian music industry.
Stephanie, who has been in Ghana for 3 months now on a family visit, has not been thinking of her family alone, but of how she could help grow the Ghanaian music industry. When Showbiz caught up with her, she expresses her enthusiasm of helping out in her own small way by putting up a music school which will be ready in 2 weeks.
I think that we need to learn. So we're going to be studying English, we're going to be studying the art of performance, and the ones who want to learn how to play instruments like the piano, the guitar, drums, whatever, it's all going to be there. Sometimes you have people who play and sing, like I do. I mean, I went to the National Academy of Music, so for that reason, I want to be able to have somebody who can do that, because we want musicians who can actually play as well. They don't have to play on stage, but if you can play, it helps with your vocals.
She also talks about her hit song titled Good Feeling and gives a freestyle.
It's really, that song, it's a feel-good song. I didn't really want to do anything else stand. I mean, doing jazz, the kind of music that a lot of the females do here, although really, really good. There's too many people obviously doing it. So coming from a background of writing music, I wanted to do something that was very simple, very, very, catchy, not too taxing, old school a little bit. You hear a little bit of old school in there. Emma, oh, not around, really good. Or just a kind of mama, also I get this a 2-pack. And then you're the one that's gonna please me. And that time you blow mama, and you need to give it up, get it in. Do you want a good feeling? Would you send me a fine sugar mama? I mean to me, cause I'm a casafa oboga kokaswa.
I told you, baby, I don't love you anymore.
He just got himself a competition. A recap of our headlines now. Pharmaceutical Society of Ghana backs calls for investigations into operations of the Food and Drugs Authority. Inflation hits 11.9%, highest in 3 years. Libyan Prime Minister released hours after being seized by militia. Liberian ex-president Charles Taylor to serve his 50-year war crime sentence in the UK. Thanks for watching. My name is Kimini Nyamani Amana. Goodbye.